Imagine a tree that can turn a hungry elephant into a reluctant grazer with a single bite. The acacia, a seemingly ordinary savanna sentinel, hides a defense so dramatic that when a massive mammal tears into its bark, the tree releases a burst of a bitter, iron-rich latex that burns the animal's mouth and gums, often forcing it to retreat for days. Even more astonishing, some species can launch their tiny thorns like projectiles, flicking them outward with a pop that can sting a passing herbivore. This is no slow, passive armor. It is an active, almost animal-like retaliation. The moment a giraffe leans in, the thorns tense, the sap pressure spikes, and the tree fires a rapid volley that can travel a foot or more. Viewers often think plants are silent victims, yet the acacia's split-second response rewrites that story, turning the savanna into a stage for botanical battles that few ever witness. In the next minutes, we will walk among these living fortresses and discover how evolution equipped a tree with a defense system that rivals any animal's. The acacia is not a single species, but a sprawling genus of thorn-clad trees and shrubs that dominate the African savanna, from the dry grasslands of Kenya to the semi-arid plains of South Africa. These trees often grow in scattered groves, their umbrella-shaped crowns providing shade for herbivores and a meeting point for birds. Their roots plunge deep into the cracked earth, tapping ancient water tables that most grasses cannot reach. In the heat of midday, the sky blazes a relentless blue, and the acacia's pale bark reflects the sun like a pale stone, while its sharp, curved thorns glint like spears ready for defense. Despite their tough exterior, acacias are intimately tied to the rhythm of rain, blooming suddenly after a storm and shedding seed pods that crack open with a soft pop. Their presence shapes the entire ecosystem. Elephants forge pathways through their trunks, giraffes nibble their leaves, and insects pollinate their bright yellow blossoms. Understanding where these living fortresses stand, how they interact with the wind, the soil, and the creatures that wander beneath them, sets the stage for uncovering the remarkable strategies hidden within their bark and branches. Scientists have long known that acacias are more than just thorny silhouettes against the horizon. Decades of field studies reveal that the tree's thorns are not merely sharp extensions, but evolved organs packed with vascular tissue that can transport chemicals throughout the plant. When a herbivore chews, the wound triggers a rapid surge of tannins and alkaloids, substances that taste bitter and can cause stomach irritation. Researchers have also documented the presence of a latex-like sap, rich in iron and phenols, that oozes from damaged bark, creating a sticky barrier that deters further feeding. In controlled experiments, captive elephants that sampled freshly cut acacia bark displayed aversive behavior for days, indicating that the plant's chemical arsenal can have lasting effects. Moreover, ecologists have mapped the distribution of thorns along the branches, noting that newer growth exhibits denser, sharper spikes, suggesting a strategic allocation of defensive resources where the risk of grazing is highest. These findings, validated through chemical analysis and behavioral observation, form the foundation of our understanding. The acacia is a chemically armed plant, capable of both passive deterrence and active retaliation. The first surprise that even seasoned botanists encountered is that acacia thorns are not static weapons, they are living sensors. Detailed microscopic studies uncovered that each thorn houses specialized mechanoreceptor cells, akin to tiny nerve endings, that can detect the slightest pressure from a browsing animal. When a giraffe's lip brushes a thorn, these cells trigger an electrical signal that travels down the thorn's vascular bundle, prompting the tree to release a burst of defensive chemicals within seconds. This rapid response is powered by changes in turgor pressure, the same force that helps plants stand upright. In a landmark experiment, researchers gently touched a thorn with a fine probe and recorded a measurable spike in calcium ions, a classic sign of cellular activation. The discovery rewrites the textbook notion that plants are passive. The acacia's thorns behave like sensory hairs on a Venus flytrap, only spread across an entire tree. This hidden sense-making network is the first clue that the tree's defense is far more dynamic than any simple chemical coating. Building on that sensory insight, we find that acacias grow their thorns in a very purposeful pattern, forming what scientists call a living fence. As the tree matures, new shoots sprout close to the trunk, each bearing a dense ring of thorns that point outward, while older branches develop inward-growing spines that interlock with neighboring limbs. This architecture creates a tangled barrier that is difficult for even the strongest browsers to penetrate. The interlaced thorns also serve as conduits for water and nutrients, allowing the tree to share resources across its sprawling canopy, much like a vascular network in an animal body. In drought years, the living fence can redirect moisture from sun-exposed limbs to shaded interior sections, stabilizing the whole organism. Field observations show that elephants often avoid trees with the most intricate thorn matrices, opting instead for younger, less defended saplings. The acacia's ability to engineer its own armor, continuously reshaping the fence as threats evolve, demonstrates an unprecedented level of structural intelligence in the plant kingdom. The real turning point arrives when we witness the acacia's thorns turning into miniature missiles. In a dramatic summer afternoon, a group of zebras approached a particularly thorny stand. As one animal grazed too close, a sudden click echoed through the dry air, and a cascade of thorns shot outward, arcing up to a foot before embedding in the surrounding grass. High-speed cameras captured the moment. The tree's internal pressure chambers fill with water, swelling the cells at the base of each thorn. When the pressure reaches a critical threshold, a sudden release propels the spine forward, much like a spring-loaded catapult. Laboratory simulations confirmed that the velocity can reach up to 2 meters per second, enough to cause a painful puncture in the skin of a grazing animal. This rapid, kinetic defense is not a myth. It has been observed in multiple acacia species across the savanna. The notion that a stationary plant can literally shoot at a threat transforms our perception of botanical warfare, placing the acacia among the most active defenders in nature. What does this kinetic thorning tell us about life on Earth? It suggests that the arms race between plants and herbivores is far more dynamic than previously imagined. When a tree can sense a bite, release chemicals, and even launch projectiles, herbivores must evolve counter-strategies, thicker skin, selective feeding habits, or cooperative behaviors like forming protective herds. This escalation drives biodiversity. Some elephants have been observed using tools such as branches to pry off thorny limbs before feeding. Moreover, the acacia's defense blurs the line between plant and animal capabilities, hinting that intelligence, defined as rapid response to environmental cues, may have multiple evolutionary pathways. From a physics standpoint, the tree's use of turgor pressure to generate kinetic energy showcases a natural engineering solution that rivals human-made mechanisms, using only water, cell walls, and osmotic gradients. Ecologically, the presence of such formidable defenders can shape the distribution of species across the savanna, creating pockets of vegetation where only the most adapted animals can thrive. In essence, the acacia's arsenal is a microcosm of the perpetual dance of adaptation that fuels life's endless creativity. Humans have long lived in the shadow of these thorny giants, and the acacia has woven itself into our cultures, economies, and myths. The sweet, honey-like gum exuded by many acacia species, known as gum arabic, has been harvested for millennia, stabilizing inks for ancient scribes and today serving as a binder in modern paints and pharmaceuticals. Tribes across the Sahel have fashioned the tree's sturdy wood into spears and shelters, while its shade offers a rare oasis for weary travelers. Folklore often depicts the acacia as a guardian spirit, its thorns protecting villages from marauding beasts. In recent decades, botanists and engineers have turned to the acacia's spring-loaded thorns for inspiration, exploring biomimetic designs for micro-actuators and soft robotics. Moreover, the tree's resilience against grazing informs sustainable grazing practices, teaching pastoralists how to balance livestock needs with vegetation health. The acacia's defensive drama, therefore, is not confined to the wild. It resonates through human history, commerce, and the future of technology, reminding us that nature's inventions are a source of endless human ingenuity. Despite the wealth of observations, scientists admit that many mysteries remain tangled among the thorns. The exact molecular cascade that translates a mechanical touch on a thorn into a rapid surge of calcium ions and turgor pressure is still being decoded. Researchers are racing to map the gene networks that enable a tree to produce both bitter alkaloids and the mechanical energy needed for thorn propulsion. How did such a complex system evolve? Was it a gradual accumulation of small defensive tweaks, or did a single evolutionary leap grant the acacia its kinetic edge? Moreover, questions linger about the ecological feedback loops. Does the presence of projectile shooting thorns truly alter the migratory patterns of large herbivores, or do animals simply learn to avoid certain trees? Advanced imaging and genomic tools are now being deployed in the field, but the full picture remains elusive. As we peer deeper into the secret life of the acacia, each answer seems to sprout new questions, promising a future of discovery as tangled as the thorns themselves. When the sun dips low over the savanna, the acacia silhouettes soften, its shadows stretching like long, quiet arms across the dust. In that hush, the tree stands as a reminder that even the most rooted of beings can move, sense, and defend with a grace that rivals any animal. Its thorns, once feared for their sharpness, become symbols of the hidden sophistication that thrives beneath bark and leaves. We leave the acacia not as a mere backdrop to the drama of the plains, but as a protagonist in its own right, an ancient sentinel that whispers that the world is far stranger and more beautiful than our eyes alone can capture. As night settles and the stars emerge, the gentle rustle of acacia leaves sings a lullaby of resilience, urging us to look again at the quiet battles unfolding everywhere, waiting to be witnessed by a curious mind.